Today on Interaction, I will give you my first impressions when I came to Brazil. You see, when you are born in a certain place or environment, you grow up with standards, and that serves as base anywhere you go in the world. When you decide to change environment, any moment, you use your base as a reference. The climate, you compare it with what you used to see, the people, the food, or whatever it is. So you judge things by the base you already have. But before I continue, this is an answer to Temba Okoye. Temba Okoye has been an active participant in this channel, and we are trying to answer some of his questions. So Temba says, like, what state did you school and why you moved to São Luís? I studied in Maranhão, the city of São Luís, and I have said in one of my videos the reason why I came here. Actually, there wasn't any plan of moving to St. Louis. Okay, it happened all of a sudden. I had never dreamt of studying outside. And you said the stories I tell are inspiring. It's good to know. All right, Temba, thanks very much. And you said the videos are short. So Temba says the videos are short, that I should make it longer. And today we will try to make a longer video because I will try to tell you the first impressions I had. I will start by telling you about the weather. Weather is something that is very interesting. The migration of people to places is strongly influenced by weather. Some people go to Europe because it's cold. Some people fear going to hot places, while some people migrate to all places. Like I can go to cold places and hot places at the same time. I was born in northern Nigeria, to be specific, in Bauchi State. And Bauchi State is also part of the North Central Highland. If you know the geography of Nigeria very well, in some periods of the year, it's very cold. Like it's in November, for instance. In December, it's extremely cold in Jos, in Bauchi. You can ask people who live around there. But when I landed in Sao Paulo on the 15th of March, 2011, I felt this kind of strange cold. It was a cold that it was running through me. I felt the cold in my bones, and it was like, wow, what a cold. So the temperatures were something like 17, 18. Sometimes in Bauchi, the temperatures got to that level also. But the cold in Sao Paulo is a little bit humid. That was what I discovered later. The sensation is more than when you have the Hamatan, which is a dry cold, and it's a little bit superficial, okay? But funny enough, I wasn't ready for that cold because I had studied the climate of São Luís, Maranhão, which is part of the Amazon region. And Amazon is hot and humid. You don't expect wild cold situations. So I wasn't really ready for, any cold. I started imagining, wow, then there are much things to discover about Brazil because I used to think that it was almost all Amazon. And I discovered later that, you have the Pantanal, you have the Caatinga. Caatinga is a kind of desert. The first impression was really nice. The people, how they approach you, how they talk to you with a level of respect, it was good. We know that it's a little bit hard when you are black and you go to places. Some people end up, not treating you well enough. But in my own case, it was relatively nice, welcoming. There wasn't something strange to complain about. And I think that is good because the first impression matters. So just cutting the story short. So when I landed with my 6 colleagues, all of us were going to different states. We went to buy tickets. We came on the 15th, but most of our flights were leaving on the 16th. So we spent the whole day in the airport. So when it was time for boarding, we bid goodbye. It was a strange, feeling because we were leaving the country for the first time and we were far away from our families for the first time. It was really difficult. At the same time, we were thinking that, it's time. We have to gain our liberties. We have to develop ourselves. We have to achieve things in life and construct a society. On getting into my flight, all of a sudden, a tall guy approached me, and there was an empty seat beside me. And he asked if he could sit. I said, okay, no problem. So after sitting down, he complimented. And as a sign of respect, I responded. And he asked me my name. I told him. He didn't understand at first. I tried to repeat it, and I went on to spell the name. And then he asked me where I was going to. I told him I was going to Saint Louis to study at the Federal University of Maranhão. He said, wow. He didn't give me his details at first. He was just asking questions. He asked me where I was from. I told him I was from Nigeria. And well, after finishing all his questions, he started presenting himself. And I later discovered that his father was a Nigerian. Well, I say was because he is late now. He died some years ago. He was a doctor. The son that was talking to me at that moment was studying at that university. So, wow, what a coincidence. So to me, it was an opportunity because the 3-hour journey from Sao Paulo to Saint Louis would yield something. At least I would learn about the university and maybe the life in Saint Louis, because he grew up in Saint Louis and he knew virtually everything about the city. Okay, so I asked him about the university, and he also told me about the African community. It was really interesting. So 3 hours became like 50 minutes to 1 hour. So funny enough, when he started talking, I didn't understand. Very fast in speaking. As someone who was coming in contact with natives for the first time, it was virtually difficult to communicate. I don't know if you understand. You meet someone who speaks fast. He speaks like 10 words in just 1 second. That was my situation. And it seemed he was a little bit nervous because I was like, all the time. When he spoke, it was like, So I saw that he was becoming a little bit nervous. And somehow I called his attention that, man, I didn't understand what he was saying. It wasn't like I was pretending, okay? So he understood that, and he tried to lower his rate of speaking. And that was how we established dialogue. We were able to exchange ideas, and it was very fruitful. When we got to St. Louis, when I got out of the plane, it was, a sudden change in the environment. I felt the difference between St. Louis and Sao Paulo. While in Sao Paulo, you had the relative humidity, maybe comparable to some of our cities in Nigeria, but St. Louis was very humid. You could feel it because you are coming from a different society. You're coming from a different environment. You're bound to feel that difference. And it was hot, all right? Of course, it's an island. That was the second time I was in an island. I had been to an island in Lagos. The placement of St. Louis with relative to the equator is different. So I believe that the change in the level also, affected how I felt at that moment. But it was really interesting. All right, it was raining, and I was listening to the sound of the rains, and remembering like some hours ago, I was with my mother, I was with my friends, I was at home. But now I'm in a completely strange land. I look at the people, they were different from what I used to see. A mixture of, mixed people, blacks, whites, different physical characteristics. Okay, so it was really interesting. I was in another land, a foreign land, a strange land. That was 3 a.m. and the toll guy left me, but he helped me, to buy a SIM card. He told me to wait for the bus, that there was a bus that came around 7, and then it took people to the terminus where I would take another bus to the university. So I was waiting for this bus. When it was getting to 7, so I had to go to the bathroom. The call of nature, you know how it is. Unfortunately, when I came out of the bathroom, the bus had gone. I spoke with a taxi driver and he dropped me at the first terminus, took bus to the terminus close to the university, and that was how I got to the university. I looked at the structures, a little bit different from what I used to see in Nigeria, in Bauchi. And, I was thinking, just looking at the skies, the, the clouds were moving, and I was, tons and tons of imaginations. At that moment, it's really strange, at the same time interesting, because you are reflecting. It's just like you don't want to stay there. You just want to leave. You want to see people that you know. You want to go close to your family. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, I'm becoming mature. My age is advancing. And I need to build something. I need to build myself. I need to become important. So that is my place. That is where I am supposed to be. That is my challenge. And I have to face it. So I got there very early. I had to wait for the coordinator to arrive. When he arrived, very good reception, asked me some questions, and we did my registrations, my matriculations. He told me about what to do, what not to do. He gave me the student's guide, and that was how I got to St. Louis. That was where steady challenges began. Today I will stop here. Okay, see you in the next video.